This is WWE superstar Drew McIntyre, and you're listening to the WWE Podcast.
The champ is
the one that everybody wants, me.
Becky Lynch is going to WrestleMania. Claymore!
Austin 316 says I just whipped your ass. This is my iron. You're going to acknowledge me.
Well, here we are on Monday, August 4th, 2025, as SummerSlam Night 2 has concluded. And I'm really not sure where to start. Not really a lot of news coming out of Night 2. Pretty subdued PLE. Not much that we can go over. Of course, I'm being extremely facetious. And I'm a bit surprised WWE did what they did. I have no disagreement with the return of Brock Lesnar. Obviously, story number one, with Brock Lesnar returning, shocking the world, and hitting an F5 on John Cena. So much to get into with the Brock Lesnar return, and so many possibilities that we have now been opened up to with the Brock Lesnar return. I don't know how long his contract is, maybe a year, maybe two. I would imagine more than that. But at least through this year's WrestleMania, I would think Brock Lesnar is going to be with the company. And if WWE didn't think that they were smart to bring him back and that he wasn't cleared of all legal issues, they wouldn't have brought him back. So I know that a lot of people are worried that they brought back some kind of sex predator, right? I mean, I've seen that online, which is just ridiculous. They're now a publicly traded organization. It would be absolutely asinine for them if there was any concern that Brock Lesnar was going to be indicted again, or there's more evidence that they would bring Brock Lesnar back. TKO is extremely sensitive to that kind of thing, and they would be foolish to do that. And so it kind of gives you hope that while Brock Lesnar may not be innocent of every crime in the world, as the odds are that he's done something, they don't have any evidence to support otherwise. So Brock Lesnar coming back is massive for the company. Brock Lesnar's not going to be working a lot of dates. He's going to be in a maybe Roman Reigns or less type of schedule. He'll appear every now and then on Raw. I don't need to look at his contract to know what his schedule is going to be. We've seen a Brock Lesnar schedule before, and I would anticipate nothing different here. With occasional PLE appearances, every other PLE, he might, at most, I think he'll be wrestling every 2 months on a PLE. Brock Lesnar is targeting John Cena. And that does seem to be clear. It could be as soon as Clash in Paris on August 31st. But then after that, you look at the potential matchups, and my God, Brock Lesnar versus Braun Breaker, Brock Lesnar versus Gunther. And that is something that we've all looked forward to, thought it could happen last year and the year before. It didn't, because of the legal issues that Brock was entangled in that have now since been cleared. But if Brock Lesnar and Gunther are going to ever tangle up, we need to do some repair on Gunther. Gunther needs to be repaired to the point where it actually feels like Brock Lesnar could be challenged and potentially lose to Gunther, because every time that Gunther gets in a big stage, he's lost. I mean, look at the WrestleMania, look at SummerSlam. So this is something that they'd need to build towards WrestleMania. So I'd have Gunther and Brock Lesnar steer clear for the moment. Brock Lesnar, CM Punk. Brock Lesnar, Roman Reigns, and CM Punk. Brock Lesnar coming face-to-face with Paul Heyman, and having Paul Heyman come face-to-face with Brock and Roman and Punk and Seth. I mean, think about the possibilities here. Brock Lesnar coming back opens up a world of possibility. And regardless of what you feel personally about what Brock did or didn't do, it's irrelevant, because Brock Lesnar's money. And if the company feels that they are smart enough and he has been cleared to the point of their satisfaction, then how do you know more than they do? How do you know more than they do? Or is it just a feeling? Is it just what you want it to be? It's the conclusion that you've already drawn, that he is involved in some kind of sex scandal with Vince McMahon. That's the conclusion you want it to be and need it to be. And instead of looking at the evidence, which most people haven't, they just go what they want it to be or what they've heard in passing or one headline, then you're just not doing your homework, and you've already made the conclusion without the evidence. So I'm not absolving Brock Lesnar of all wrongdoing. I don't know all the evidence, but here's what I do know. I have common sense, and I'm leaving it to those in power in the company to make the decision to bring him back and not come to my own conclusion, because we haven't seen all the evidence, and it's not really my concern, to be honest with you. I mean, how many professional sports stars from the NBA to the MLB to the NFL, for God's sakes, that is riddled with sex scandals and all the rest of it. So, I mean, ultimately, you know what the fans care about? Performance. The fans care about great matches in this case. They care about star power, and they will forego all of that for having Brock Lesnar back, regardless of what they may think. And again, if you feel otherwise, then you feel otherwise. Then, you know, there's nothing that facts can wash away your feelings for. I mean, again, I know a lot of you are not happy he's back simply because of the previous legal trouble he was in. But that said, we've got a lot to talk about tonight, or today, as I'm recording this the morning after, with Brock Lesnar's return, the Cody Rhodes John Cena match that was a hell of a lot better than the WrestleMania match, I have to say. A hell of a lot better. There were some bumps and some bumbles and fumbles on John Cena's end, and I have to say John Cena is the last person to make the Crossroads look good. He's the exact opposite body type you would want to have the Crossroads look good, okay? Because he's not super flexible. He's muscular as hell. Even in his heyday, he probably wouldn't have been able to make it look good. And the Crossroads is difficult to make look good to begin with. But can we just, at this point, remove the Crossroads as a finish maneuver? It's no longer a finishing maneuver. When he kicks out of it 4 times and kicks out of it 3 times in a row, how much more can we go here? And yes, the AA historically has been kicked out of more than any finish in the history of finishes. So you have the weakest finish versus the weakest finish in a matchup that was otherwise pretty darn good. Having the pile driver getting pulled out of nowhere was certainly surprising. But it makes you wonder, okay, if the move's banned and the announcers even acknowledge the move is banned, well then how does it still happening in a match validate or rather wash away the problem that the move is banned? I mean, you're still in WWE. You are competing under WWE contract. This is still a match, regardless of the fact that there's no disqualification. It's still a sanctioned match. Therefore, how does it absolve Cody from using the pile driver on Cena? Albeit it was a very safe pile driver, and I have no objections with it. Just, you have Kevin Owens doing it to people for months, and every time he did it, apparently everyone got paralyzed, and then, you know, John Cena gets pile driven, and then you have John Cena get up 2 minutes later and he's fine. I mean, so a little bit of a incongruity there about the fact that the pile driver being used is banned and why it's banned, and Kevin Owens using it, and then Cody uses it, and it doesn't really have much effect on John Cena. So ultimately, I don't have a huge issue with that. And having no Travis Scott was also a good thing. The bumps John Cena took throughout the match, the suplex onto the security gate that he took, the steel steps that he threw at Cody Rhodes, and the table spots. My God, how many tables were destroyed? Oh, what was the table death count? What was the table death count last night? Like 10? Slim Jim got their money's worth. That's for damn sure. Slim Jim got their money's worth from WWE with their sponsorships of the Slim Jim tables being used for sure. So I'm sure Slim Jim is excited to see what and how much their tables were used last night. But we also got, again, a high quality match with the right finish, despite this stupid amount of kickouts from finishes. I really don't know how much, by the way, how much further we can go with the kickouts of finishes when 4 of them and 3 of them in a row doesn't do the trick. You may want to reconsider your finishing maneuver, or just, I don't know, reconsider the fact that finishers need to be reestablished as finishers, which has long passed my, it's long since past that happening, and I don't know if we'll ever go back because apparently more kickouts of more finishes is better for some reason. I mean, that said, a hell of a main event, one that by far transpired and transposed, superseded the WrestleMania Night 2 main event for sure, with John Cena, Cody Rhodes, and Travis Scott, that will forever be remembered as one of the worst main events of all time in WrestleMania. And Cody Rhodes wins. He's anointed by John Cena. No double down of the heel turn. It was just John Cena passing the torch. As Michael Cole mentioned, it was the passing of the torch that very much happened at WrestleMania 29 between The Rock and John Cena, when John Cena lost to The Rock, or rather, The Rock lost to John Cena, I should say. And so very much a parallel here. But also, it's interesting, Brock Lesnar returned the night after John Cena lost to The Rock the first time, and I think it was WrestleMania 28, where he returned. It was 2012 when Brock Lesnar first came back after leaving for for football and all the rest in UFC in 2004. He comes back in 2012. Who does he come back to? John Cena. He comes back and attacks John Cena in 2012, very much kind of in the same way. And now 13 years later, Brock Lesnar returns in a very similar fashion to attack John Cena with an F5. So we've been here before. I still don't like the Brock Lesnar hair. I know a lot of people do. I'm a big fan of just Brock Lesnar clean shaven, or even a beard is fine, but the hair is something that I haven't got used to. It's just not my thing. I like the Brock Lesnar kind of buzz cut look, but Brock Lesnar is back. He F5s John Cena, gets a massive reaction, and people were cheering for John Cena all night. So it makes you wonder, not that Cody's turning heel, I don't think, although we'll get into that, but rather, who's going to be the babyface and heel in this Brock Lesnar-John Cena matchup? Because people were really behind John Cena. It's the John Cena we all just need. I don't need a double turn, double down. I don't need any of that. I actually don't even need Cody Rhodes turning heel at this point. I know that many people expected a double turn. People were booing Cody a little bit there last night, which was fun to see, but the company needs a top babyface right now, and I don't know if Brock Lesnar is going to be that guy or if John Cena is going to co-opt that with Cody Rhodes. Because Brock Lesnar coming back, people love Brock. People want to see him destroy, but now you have John Cena who's a babyface that people are finally getting behind and back to baseline here with John for the next 4 months. And you have Brock who just returned. I would imagine he's going to play the heel with the beloved John Cena now back, but I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see what they do. And how much you want to bet you'll never get an explanation as to why Brock attacked John Cena. That's just what we do. That's a Brock Lesnar storyline. That's just a typical Brock storyline. He just attacks people and we don't get an explanation. And then we're just told, well, it's just Brock. He does what he wants, which of course is a cop-out and lazy writing. That's all that is. And people just accept it. I don't. I like to know what, at least and have basic questions answered when I see things like this happen. Hey, why did you attack them? At least just give me something. I don't need an A+ promo. Just give me a reason. And I don't want to hear, oh, Brock Lesnar does what Brock Lesnar wants to do. Lazy. That's lazy. I don't need to hear that. I love Brock as much as the next person does. That's a fan of him anyway. And I don't need to hear that lazy storytelling. I just need a reason. Brock's never going to cut an A+ promo. I just need someone to tell me, because he just does things and you don't know why. And they just like put these matchups out there, and it's so easy for the writers because they're like, well, we don't have to come up with anything creative. And we chalk it up to Brock's being Brock. Effing lazy. So also Michael Cole's call about Holy S. That was cool. I mean, I have to say, hearing Michael Cole, instead of saying, oh my, he was actually said something that all of us are saying. He very much echoed a lot of the people at home. I'm sure millions of people sitting there going, holy yes. Michael Cole said it on air, which was cool. I have to give them props for that. I very much appreciate the cussing there because it was warranted. So props to Michael Cole. And you know what? As I'm streaming through, I'm looking through X as I'm talking right now, and there's a lot of people on X and other social media platforms that are really just up in arms about Brock Lesnar and, quote unquote, this is from someone on X. Michael Cole can go to hell. This is regarding Brock's return. Every single person celebrating this and who made this happen can go to hell. Brock Lesnar's got a sex trafficking lawsuit. What is he doing here? Brock Lesnar, F Triple H, F WWE. I'm out. I'm done. Brock Lesnar is actively still in the Janelle Grant lawsuit, mind you. All of this. Okay. There is just F Janelle Grant. Now we know why they didn't do those post-press events, conferences anymore. Known sexual predator Brock Lesnar just returned on the second biggest show of the WWE calendar. It goes on and on. F everyone in the stadium who popped for him. This is your chance to grow a backbone and boycott that company. My heart goes out for the women over there, man. You know what I would say to everybody? Grow up. This is, first of all, do you know more about the evidence than anybody else? Again, I talked about this at the beginning of the show, but go look on your ex. Maybe you feel the same way. And how do you know more than everybody else? You don't. You want it to be something. So everybody in the stadium, I mean, these people that want to be victims by association, they just have this victim complex. They feel that, all these women in WWE, you know what the women in WWE are probably thinking? Whatever. You know what? More viewership, higher viewership, more money for me. If they're smart, they're thinking that. They're not thinking, oh man, WWE just hired a sexual predator. Because you know what? Again, even if Brock Lesnar was found guilty, okay, how many men in the NFL, active players, were accused and convicted of some kind of sexual assault, domestic event, battering of women in the NFL, yet we all excuse it and just go, whatever. They're going to help my fantasy team this week. Who cares? But somehow this is unique to WWE. Fans ultimately don't give a damn. It's the people that want to be victims that just have this need to be a victim, to get attention, to grasp onto some kind of power, to start some kind of movement that they really don't believe in themselves. It's what it is. All right. I mean, I could go off the rails about this because it's larger than just WWE, larger than just the Brock Lesnar event. Much more. It's a reflection of the culture today, unfortunately. But you know what? These people that are all complaining, I can guarantee you, if we followed them around through the next month, that they would still watch what WWE does. They would still watch what Brock Lesnar's doing. They would watch his matches. They would still watch. The viewership here, you know what viewership's going to do? Go up. Because even if Brock Lesnar is back and people are angry about it, Vince McMahon is very famous for saying Eric Bischoff, controversy creates cash. And it does. It still does. It holds true now, then, and forever to pun WWE. It will never change. And they can bring back Brock, and the people are going to respond to him. And they're going to watch. They're going to watch to see what he does because it's Brock effing Lesnar. So I don't want to hear all these imaginary victim groups come out and try to boycott WWE. Good luck with that. Yeah, you have fun with that. You have fun with your little social media gang and your little mob that's going to do absolutely nothing. I support Brock Lesnar, the professional wrestler. Just like when Hulk Hogan passed, we're all supposed to not care about his contributions to professional wrestling, which essentially is like as massive as any individual can be to an actual sports industry of Hulk Hogan. We're all supposed to just dismiss it because of his past comments that made some people's tummy hurt. All right. Again, don't support the comments. Never said I agree with it. I certainly don't agree with what he said, but his contributions to professional wrestling, whatever he said in 20 years ago, don't change what he did for professional wrestling at all. And I know people want it to, and they want to revise history. Too bad. All right. Let's get into a little bit more of SummerSlam here. Let's get into it here. I'm sure people are already angry. Come on with those racist comments. Apparently, people think I'm racist for some reason. I'm sure I hate women or I'm racist. I'm sure those comments will follow, and that's fine. I really don't care. So, because if you've listened to me at all, you know certainly that that's not the case. But I don't need to defend myself to people that just want to be victims and want to try to tear people down. Go for it. It doesn't bother me in the least. So anyway, I'm guessing some of you do agree with me though here. And it's those of you that I'm talking to. So we have Cole, who was on commentary, gave us another weather report. He said it was 82 degrees and there was a light breeze. So important point here. Again, take notes at home. I'm sure many of you are making sure that you understand the weather report from last night at MetLife. So we have Alicia Taylor introduce Paul Levesque, Triple H, who comes out and does his thing that he does for seemingly every PLE or every major one that they have. We have Triple H show up and just say nothing. It's almost just it's self-serving. I like Triple H. I do, despite all of his flaws and the things that he's presented and the way he's responded to fans that are critical of the product. I still am just annoyed every time I hear him come out because it's just going to be the same exact thing. It's rinse and repeat. You don't need to hear from Triple H because you know exactly what it's going to be. He's going to come out there. He's going to come out to his music. He's going to stand there for a few minutes and stare in the crowd and point at us and then ask us if we're ready. And then that's it. It's like, oh, welcome to. It's like, okay, that's it. Why? I maybe he just still has the itch to be a performer, and I can totally understand that, or be a wrestler. I get that, but I don't know. I don't need to say Triple H. I'd say this every time I see him because it's the same thing we've seen a dozen times in a row. But Triple H does come out. He does his thing, and we get Rhea Ripley Naomi and Io Sky for the Women's World Championship. And this match was very good. 16 minutes and 20 seconds with Naomi retaining as she should have. She is still getting her feet entrenched into being champion. There's no need to take it off of her. Rhea doesn't need the belt. Io just lost it. There's just no need to make this a thing with the Women's World Championship. There needs to be some stability. And this was the right call with Naomi winning. And the way she won was Sky getting Ripley back inside the ring to set up for her finish. Ripley cut her off. They fought for position, and eventually Rhea headbutted Io and hit an avalanche riptide. And Naomi returned to the ring, rolled up Ripley, and held the tights while getting the 3 counts. And Cole said Rhea Ripley is snake bitten, as Rhea Ripley, I don't believe, has ever won at SummerSlam. And so Naomi getting the victory the way she did, I think was the right call. The fans thought it was the right call too. They didn't boo Naomi. They're supportive of her. When she has since she's found herself, the fans, while they've booed her at times, have really just been like, you know what, you found yourself. We can appreciate that. You've been around here a long time, and it's time to show a little respect, despite the fact you're a heel. And so she has earned her stripes. Naomi winning is the absolute right call. All right, again, a very good match, by the way, too. I have no concerns about the quality of this match with the different spots, the Razor's Edge and a power bomb on Sky, the ring step spot with Ripley running Naomi into the ring steps, and then Sky hitting both women with a moonsault. It's exactly what you would have wanted with this matchup with these women. They could have gone a lot longer. They could have gone another 10-15 minutes, but I think this was a very strong match. All right, so then we have we had Nick Hogan, Michelle McCool shown in the crowd, Tyrese Halliburton, NBA star, and Alicia Taylor introduced the Dudley Boys, and then Matt and Jeff Hardy as the two teams who took part in the original TLC match. That was kind of cool. And we had then the next match was the TLC match, which was Dexter Lumis and Joe Gacy versus Motor City Machine Guns versus the Street Profits versus DIY versus Fraxium for the WWE Tag Team titles. This matchup was exactly what you'd expect it to be, a car crash in the best of ways. It was just crazy. I mean, think about the number of table spots these guys did. The number of bumps and bruises these men took were just unnecessary, and it shows their dedication and trying to make themselves a name. And it was as violent and poetic as you'd imagine. Nothing, well, I shouldn't say poetic. It was very much just about spots and high spots and, having close near calls, right? Having Bubba Ray and Devon also there with the Hardy Boys did add a little bit of something as well with the OGs of this match with today's talent. That was kind of cool having them there. And it was good. It was really good. This match went 16 minutes. The finish was Lumis and Gacy hitting their double team finish on Phoenix. Lumis stood guard while Gacy climbed the ladder and pulled the belts down. And it was just, there was almost too much to absorb. And that's the nature of this kind of match where there's just so much going on that you need to take a breath and try to digest exactly what is happening. And this was good. I mean, we had Uncle Howdy crashing onto a ladder bridge. We had at one point 6 wrestlers on 2 ladders. Somebody you think is going to grab the belt. Uncle Howdy tips over the first ladder. He tips over the second, which sent Gargano and Ciampa crashing through the stacked, sponsored tables. And Frazier raced up the ladder. Howdy then applied the mandible claw and then let Frazier fall off. Andrade did a sunset bomb that sent Howdy crashing. It was just, it was a lot. And the right team, I think, did win. If you're going to get anything behind this essentially Bray Wyatt tribute group, you're going to have to keep the belts on them for as much as they pay attention to the tag team divisions on either the men or the women. It is what it is there, but the right team won. Okay, we had Becky Lynch and Lyra in a no DQ no count out match for the Women's Intercontinental Championship. And remember, the stipulation was that if Lyra loses, she can never, ever challenge Becky Lynch again for the Intercontinental Championship. And that is a good thing. We had this match go, just too long. Just too long. It was 25 minutes. It was just too long. But these two certainly brought it when it comes to effort. The crowd wasn't super into this as expected. We've seen these two go at it for the last several months, and this is definitely the last time that they'll be working together for the foreseeable future. But I have to say, the right person won again in this matchup. The finish was Lynch pulling herself to her feet to use a table. Valkyria flew back into the picture and leg dropped Lynch through the table. Back in the ring, Lynch slipped out of a Nightwing attempt, but Valkyria took her down with an arm drag. Lynch stood up near the ropes. Bayley stood on the apron and swung at Lynch, who ducked, causing Bayley to accidentally hit Valkyria, and then Lynch hit a manhandle slam and got the victory. The match, again, was long, but it was very good from a technical perspective and from a pacing perspective. When given enough time, the match pacing slows down, and I'm a big fan of that. I think we were all just burned out of this program from the start, so it felt extra long, but you can't discount the effort and pacing of this match from a storytelling perspective, from an effort perspective, and from an execution perspective. I think all these women, including Bayley, hit their spots perfectly. And Lynch getting the victory to retain the Intercontinental Championship was the right call. Now, is this a Bayley versus Valkyria matchup heading up next? Probably. All right. Then we get Solo Sikoa versus Jacob Fatu in a cage match for the United States Championship. This match went 12 minutes and 40 seconds, with Solo beating Fatu to retain the U.S. Championship. Again, if you heard my predictions and others, we had been alluding to this being a very much championship retention PLE, and outside of the top two belts, that's what we got. Now, the finish was Mateo unlocking the cage door. Fatu freed himself somehow, and then from the handcuffs, and then stopped Solo from leaving. Cole said he had no idea how Fatu got loose. Neither do we. Solo tried to escape again. Fatu stopped him, but this time Tala swung the cage door at Fatu's head. Solo escaped through the cage door to win the match. Afterward, Jimmy superkicked Mateo and threw him inside the ring with Fatu and Loa. Fatu went to the top of the cage while Mateo and Loa were standing in the ring, and then Jacob Fatu performed a moonsault on both men. This particular analysis says this is, quote, "Cage matches are a joke. The original concept was that no one would get in or out. For some reason, the creative forces in pro wrestling seem to take it as a challenge to find new and not so exciting ways to have wrestlers interfere during almost every cage match. It happens so frequently that I stopped looking forward to cage matches a long time ago, and don't even get me started on the silliness of Fatu breaking the handcuffs." Well, of course. Yeah, I can't disagree with any of this analysis here. It's ridiculous. Cage matches have become the complete inverse of the original intent. Cage matches inherently now, while on the surface we're told it's to keep competitors out and keep the competitors in and interference out, when in fact it does the complete opposite for every single cage match. And the fact that you can walk through the door is absolutely ridiculous. That actually softens the cage match to like childish levels. Meaning, all you have to do in a regular match, you have to beat down your opponent so brutally that you essentially knock them out, right? Because you have to pin their shoulders to the mat for a 3 count, or of course knockout or submission. Just a regular standard matchup is more brutal than a cage match, because in a cage match you're allowed to just walk through a door. It has become a joke. Cage matches have become a complete joke. All right. But nonetheless, Solo Sikoa beating Jacob Fatu to retain the U.S. Championship is still the right call. I think it was. Dominic Mysterio versus AJ Styles for the Intercontinental Championship. This one entertained me more than I thought it would, despite the fact it was a little bit short. Dom does retain the IC title here, and just a great finish with Styles catching Dom in a calf crusher. And the idea was that Dom's boot would come off to free him, but Styles had to pull it off. Styles lunged at Dom, who ducked, and the referee ducked between the ropes to avoid Styles. Dom hit Styles with the belt while the referee was distracted, and then Dom followed up with a frog splash and got the 3 count. So Dominic ends up beating AJ in 10 minutes and 45 seconds. After the match, they showed highlights of Dom loosening his boot. I mean, we've seen this before. This is a Eddie Guerrero-esque finish. And there's been no wrestler since they've passed that has been still more attached to the audience than Eddie Guerrero. And we've seen a lot of wrestlers pass. A lot. Most recently, the biggest name in pro wrestling, Hulk Hogan. Right? We've seen, we've seen Chris Benoit for obvious reasons. You know, people kind of forget that. We've seen Roddy Piper. We've seen Andre. We've seen Mean Gene. Not a wrestler, but still. So, you know, my point is that despite the fact that Eddie Guerrero passed 20 years ago, it'll be 20 years this year, he continues to be a force in matches on an almost regular basis. It shows you the connection that fans had and the wrestlers had with him. So a great finish here with Dom and the chair as well. The chair spot that Dom tried to make look like AJ hit him, but then AJ put the chair over his head to make it look like Dom was trying to, you know, break his neck. It was a very clever, very well done finish. And the right person won it. And you know what? You listen to the crowd there. You listen to the crowd. The crowd was cheering for Dom. The crowd is just tired of booing Dom, and they've learned to love him. I know that that's not in the plans right now, or maybe it is. But it's happening regardless. So I think it's something that they need to keep an eye on. If the plan is to eventually turn Dom, well, it may be happening already. It has been happening since WrestleMania. But yeah, I mean, I know a lot of people are looking for AJ here to eventually have another run with the mid-card title. We're not there yet. I think we'll get there. I think that at some point we will see AJ Styles maybe very briefly back in the main event picture. And then he'll be, I think, granted a somewhat lengthy mid-card title run with maybe the U.S. or Intercontinental title. I think it's deserving. He's deserving. No doubt about it. All right, so let's continue here. We've got then Stephanie McMahon. I don't know why. I mean, it's just, there's no need for it. I don't mind Steph, but I don't need to see her. I don't. She just stood in the ring. It's pointless. There's no purpose of this. The only purpose this serves is a self-serving purpose, because no one else really is dying to see Triple H or Steph. Fans aren't asking for it. It just seems to happen on a regular basis. So Stephanie comes in and announces the attendance at 60,000 and change, and mentions the 2-night attendance at 113,000, making it the biggest SummerSlam in history. And then the pyro shoots off, and it's very much a pat themselves on the back moment. Fine. You know, okay, sure. All right. So then we had Cody Rhodes and John Cena for the WWE Championship. And as I mentioned, both men busted their ass in this match. It was an absolute joy to watch these two at this level, specifically John Cena, despite his limitations, to be able to perform at that level, bring back the old John Cena. No more fooling around. Just give us the John Cena of old. We can appreciate the heel turn. And actually, as much as a flub as that heel turn was, and it just didn't work. It wasn't a disaster, but it just didn't work for a number of reasons that I'll break down, in future episodes. But it didn't work, and we got the John Cena of old. But my point is, had that heel turn not happened, I don't think we'd appreciate the version of John Cena we have now. Because had he not turned and we just got this same version of Cena all the time, we would have wondered, oh man, what would that heel turn have looked like? Oh man, what would that have looked like? Wouldn't that be a fun little time if we had John Cena heel? It just sucks we never got to see it. Well, we did. It wasn't great. It wasn't executed great. The Rock was a massive misstep. While The Rock didn't appear on this PLE and there was rumors he was going to, and he didn't, and that's fine. But had he stuck around even on a occasional basis to see this storyline through with John Cena and have them be a power duo, The Rock doesn't even need to wrestle. He could just deliver a rock bottom here and there, be the completely power-hungry TKO board member and grant John Cena whatever he wanted and, give some explanation as to why John Cena sold his soul, that would have been, I think, a much more successful heel turn for John Cena, because you talk about taking the heart and soul out of the reason for John Cena turning out of the story right from the get-go. It got off on a bad foot. I mean, because The Rock just disappeared. So The Rock, his absence is largely to blame for the flub of a heel turn for John Cena. Not all, but a large portion of it was because of The Rock's absence. Because if he's the catalyst for this whole thing, and then he just removes himself and says, it's not about me. Well, no, actually it is, because John Cena did this at your direction. Remember, The Rock did the signal, around the neck, and then John Cena's infamous face changed, and then he kicked Cody Rhodes in the nuts. Well, then what happened there? How did that happen? Why did he just take direction from The Rock? Why? And the fact that was never explained, I think, is a big, big, big reason for the John Cena heel turn. Ultimately, as we look back, it's going to be just kind of a womp womp. And but hey, at least we got it. Okay, we got it. It may not have been perfect, not even close, but now we get the John Cena that we all know and love. John Cena pulled out a Canadian Destroyer in this match. Again, the pile driver, as I mentioned at the beginning of the show, a move that is banned, yet Cody did it again in WWE, under WWE's umbrella, whatever. And the fact that there was no, John Cena's fine. He can walk around fine. It's all just, you gotta remove logic from this match on a big way. But they kicked each other's asses, fighting through the crowd, taking the bumps on the stage, the AA on the stage, John Cena coming up through Cody's entrance on the elevator. That look that he had on his face was great. The hug at the beginning of the match. You could see the emotion at the end of the match after Cody and John Cena embraced, and you wonder what was said, but all I could read was Cody saying thank you for everything, and that's all I saw, but who knows what was actually said. True passing of the torch with Cody Rhodes and John Cena, the final time that they'll ever meet. But now we have the last 4 months to just have fun with John. You don't have to worry about the championship. We're back to just good old John Cena for the next 4 months. Just a great move by WWE, the only move they could really make. And it was the right one. And now you have Brock Lesnar, presumably at Clash at Paris. And then from there, you do wonder where John's going to go. He has some people out there that if they're able to get Edge, I mean, I know some people said, no, his contract is up this year. Can anybody confirm? Does anybody actually know what Adam Copeland's AEW contract is? Because to me, he should be the final opponent for John Cena. Come hell or high water, it should be Edge. That's who I would want. But when you look at this, you have some other opponents out there. You do have, I was going to say Randy Orton, but they've kind of gone through that. You have Brock Lesnar. You have also some new talent, and maybe he works with Braun Breaker. Maybe he works with Braun Breaker. Maybe he works with Seth Rollins. Some outside guys here. It's possible. Maybe he works with some new talent that we're not thinking of to help some new guys on the way out the door. But we don't have to worry about it anymore. Now it's just kind of, you can relax and enjoy John Cena for what he was the last 20 plus years, and the best version of him with the running to the ring and all the rest, and the original entrance, and no more frowns. And it's just the best version that we're going to see. And I hope they continue this and don't try to do something crazy the last 4 months. Just play it out and let us enjoy it. Because there's no reason to do anything long term, because he's not here long term. He's here for another 4 months, and then he's bye. So this match again was just awesome for what it was. And yes, it was 30 minutes, but it was great. A great effort by both men. And yes, by the way, the Cody Cutter, another move that John Cena could use a little work on selling, but hey, he's nearly 50 years old. What can I say? And then the Brock Lesnar return, that's got everyone talking about this whole deal, whole SummerSlam. And I've already outlined the importance of that and who he could work with, which is really unlimited. And what's going to be really interesting, as I mentioned at the beginning of the show, is Brock can work with Gunther and build him up to WrestleMania, which we all wanted last year. and Gunther needs some work to get there. Repair his mystique, his aura, his feeling of unbeatableness is gone. And you're going to need that if you want to make it feel like this is the biggest match possible with Brock Lesnar. But as I said, the moment also everyone is looking forward to is his moment with Brock Lesnar or the Brock Lesnar and Paul Heyman. What's that interaction like? What about CM Punk and Brock Lesnar? What about CM Punk, as I said at the beginning, and Brock Lesnar and Roman Reigns? Maybe they bring back Curtis Axel too for a kind of a quad group of former Heyman clients. I mean, there's certainly some fun to be had here with Roman and Brock and Punk, and now Seth as the latest victim, as I'd probably more accurately say, with Paul Heyman as his oracle. Where does that leave everybody? That's a hell of a dynamic. One that they may save for WrestleMania, or it could happen as soon as Survivor Series. But right now, the short term is Brock and John Cena, which is an interesting dynamic, as I've said, because who's the heel, who's the face in this? I would imagine Cena is the baby face because he's leaving, but Brock Lesnar's back. He's hot as hell. And there's certainly a lot of ways to go. So should be a fun ride over the next several weeks. Again, I do not expect Brock Lesnar to be there more than once a month for TV. He might do an interview. They could put some video packages together. It is going to be very much the typical Brock Lesnar schedule that we've seen with Roman and others, and John Cena most recently. Expect that kind of schedule for Brock Lesnar and moving forward. So I'm trying to see if there's any other news here. Let's see here. I don't know if there's any other big news here. Big update on the John Cena. So this is according to Wrestling Inc. Just one thing here while we're on John Cena. And this is, let's see here, on Wrestling Observer Radio, Dave Meltzer and Brian Alvarez assessed Cena's face turn, as well as Lesnar's return. They said, quote, they dropped Cena's heel story because it sucked, but also because the John Brock program, which is obviously what they're doing, does work better with Brock as the heel. Alvarez also expressed how Cena seems to wrestle better as a babyface than a heel and suggested this could be why they had to turn him before the match. Well, I mean, I don't know about that. I mean, he only works better as a babyface because that's what he's done for 99% of his career. And Brock and John, I just, all I'm asking for is the basics here with Brock Lesnar. Just give me a why. Provide the why. I know Brock doesn't have a mouthpiece anymore. He doesn't need one. He can just give us just tell us why you attacked John. I need a reason. So, all right. Well, that'll do it for me, everybody. I hope you've enjoyed this. We'll be back on tomorrow night for the Raw review. If you want to go ad-free, patreon.com/WWE podcast is the place to go. You can also head on over to Apple and go ad-free there as well. If you want to go ad-free, hit us up also on YouTube. If you want to subscribe, we have YouTube videos that we're putting out somewhat regularly now, if you want to check us out. And I'll be back tomorrow. Guys, wrestling's hot right now. Believe it or not, we can now start talking about Survivor Series as the next big landing mark for wrestling, which is just, 3 months away until we get the next big PLE. And then we'll be, before you know it, on our road to WrestleMania 42. All right, everybody. Thanks so much. Take care.
Thanks for listening to the WWE Podcast. Don't forget to subscribe on your favorite podcast app so you don't miss a show, or head to WWEpodcast.com. And for all of these shows ad-free, head over to patreon.com/WWE Podcast. Until then, we'll see you next time.